Hi, I'm Mr. York, and I'm here with Mr. York. This is my father, who's 75 years old. I'm 46 years old. His name is Raymond York, and I'm going to be asking him a few questions about college and career and what his life has been like. When I was 2.5 years old, he did this to me right here on this porch where we're sitting. This used to be a porch, and so I think this is payback 44 years later.
Right.
If you can tell us, where did you go to high school?
Okay, I was born and raised in New York City, and all of my education up until high school was in New York. And at just before I left New York, I was going to Aviation High School in Queens, New York. And when I got to California, I came out here on a vacation, and it turned out I liked the school so much that I transferred everything over and I went to Pasadena High School, and that's where I finished.
Do you remember when you were a kid, did you want to be a fireman or something like that, like some people do?
And if I had it to do over again, I would have liked to have majored in law and gone into becoming a lawyer.
And been an attorney. When you were in high school, were you a good student? Do you remember what your GPA was?
No, I was pretty much a C student, and at that point, the only thing I was really good at was math. For some reason, numbers always fell into my head.
Did you ever go to college?
After I finished with Pasadena High School, I came out and went to Mount Sac, and I took some banking courses because I really enjoyed that and had to do a lot of numbers. And one of the local managers of a local bank here in West Covina, was teaching a class. And she knew that I had made loans and we were doing that. I got involved on a small basis with it. I worked for a mortgage company when I came to California after I graduated high school. I went to work for a mortgage company, and I was going back to take some more courses because I wanted to get certified to do FHA loans. And you have to have a special program for that, and you have to take a test for it. So I was doing that with her, and while I was in that class, she pointed me in the right direction, and I made a couple of loans for some people that I knew that had money. And that was always a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that.
What other types of jobs did you have, or were there other big companies that you worked for that we would know of?
After a while, I worked for a small chemical company, and they needed somebody to do accounting work, and so I did that for a while. And then they said, well, you sound like you could sell this stuff. Why don't you go out and see what you can do? A couple of the salesmen called in sick or they quit or whatever, and I said, yeah, I'd like to try it. So I went out and I was pretty good at it. And so I decided to work for them, but it was a tiny chemical company, and they got bought up by Georgia Pacific, which was a monster company. And it turned out I could never walk in the front door of Georgia Pacific with the credentials I had and get a job with them. So I kind of got absorbed into Georgia Pacific through the little chemical company I worked for.
So eventually, you started off in sales, but eventually you got into real estate somehow.
Well, real estate was nothing more than an extension of sales. You had to be, if you were going to sell real estate or even buy it for that matter, there was a lot that you needed to know. And so I went to school and I got my real estate license. And then I decided, well, I'd like to go work for a company. And it turns out I wound up in the banking business again because you had to have a license to do that, to lend money at that level. So I did that for a while, and I found out that I could buy some apartments and do a few other things. And then I was about, I guess I was 30 years old, 31 years old, when I decided I was going to make a career out of it.
How did that work out? How do you feel like, looking back now, did that all work out the best for you?
Yes, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. So
a lot of it was luck and timing.
Oh gosh, yeah. Timing was a big portion of it.
And now we see we've got HGTV and everybody's doing it.
Yeah. But I
But you still feel
ago.
like if you were to go back and do it again, you'd want to go to law school.
I really would, because I felt that since I was in the landlord business, I did a lot of evictions. It wasn't the best part of my life, but I wound up doing it. And in the process, I met a lot of attorneys, and I saw what they were doing, and I wanted to specialize in real estate law. I can't ask for more, but it's not uncommon for somebody to say, I don't know what I want to do. Just keep doing stuff.
Doing
what you
something is
enjoy.
still better than doing nothing,
Right,
even if
it's
it's
better
not
than sitting down.
right.
But as long as you see something that you enjoy, try it.
Did you ever think about going into the medical field in any way?
No.
Not something
Never.
that interested you.
No, I was never good at it. But that's where your mother came along.
That was mom.
She was always in that because her mother graduated Duke University as
She was a nurse.
she was a nurse.
Right. If there's one last thing that you could say to help the next generation, what would you tell them?
Keep doing what you like, no matter what it is. But more importantly, get to become good at it. You've got to really become an expert at it. You may not know a lot in the beginning, but you'll learn, and you stay in it, and you keep on going and going and going. And before you know it, you do become very professional. That is what's going to make the difference. I got into real estate, and I was always managing to learn a little bit more. I was still going to school when I was in my 50s, and I learned a little bit more, and I learned a little bit more, and then finally I got very good at it. And that's the difference. You're going to have to be very good at whatever you do. And you can't just sit around and wait that something is going to come along. You have to jump into something with both feet.
Thank you so much for your time.
And you're quite welcome.
I'm Mr. York here with Mr. York, and now get to work.
Right.